From east to west, from ancient civilizations to modern faiths, humanity has always carried a deep obsession. When will everything come to an end? The apocalypse isn't just about the collapse of the material world. It's about purification, judgment, and sometimes rebirth. In the Bible, it's the day of judgment, when the living and the dead are called by name. In Islam, it's the day of return, when every soul stands before Allah. In Buddhism, the world goes through endless cycles of creation and destruction, guided by the law of formation, existence, decay, and emptiness. And in Hinduism, an entire universe dissolves when Shiva performs his final dance of destruction, only to begin again from dust and silence. But it's not just religion that tells these stories. Modern culture is obsessed with the end too. Zombies, nuclear war, AI takeovers, climate collapse. Maybe deep down, we all sense one truth. Everything has an ending. In this video, we'll explore the most powerful and thought-provoking visions of the apocalypse across ancient texts and modern myths, from prophecy to science fiction. Not just to see how the world might end, but to understand why we need the idea of an ending to truly grasp the meaning of life. Christianity. This begins with the rapture, an event described in 1 Thessalonians. Christians believe that, at a moment known only to God, Jesus will descend from heaven with a shout, the voice of an archangel, and the sound of a trumpet. Believers, both those who have died and those still living, will be caught up to meet him in the air. This event is seen as a way for Christ to gather his faithful followers and take them away before the next phase, the Great Tribulation. The Great Tribulation is a 7-year period of immense suffering, as foretold in the book of Daniel and detailed in the book of Revelation. The first 3.5 years are marked by increasing global chaos, wars, famines, earthquakes, and other calamities. But the second half, often referred to as the Great Tribulation, is far worse. The world falls under the rule of a charismatic, evil figure known as the Antichrist, who gains political and religious control. He deceives nations with promises of peace, but ultimately enforces the worship of a false image, as described in Revelation 13. Those who refuse to worship him face persecution and even death. During this time, God's wrath is poured out on the earth in a series of devastating judgments, plagues, natural disasters, and celestial phenomena, including events like the sun turning dark and the moon turning to blood. Yet, amidst the chaos, some remain faithful, refusing to follow the Antichrist. Then comes the second coming of Christ, a moment of divine intervention. Jesus returns to earth in glory, riding on a white horse. He is accompanied by the armies of heaven, and his return signals the end of the Antichrist's reign. In the Battle of Armageddon, Christ defeats the forces of evil. The Antichrist and the false prophet are cast into the lake of fire, and Satan is bound for 1,000 years. What follows is known as the Millennial Kingdom, a 1,000-year reign of peace and righteousness where Christ rules as king. During this time, Satan is imprisoned, and the earth experiences a period of unprecedented harmony. Those who were martyred for their faith during the tribulation are resurrected and reign alongside Christ. But the story doesn't end there. After the millennium, Satan is released for a short time. He deceives the nations once more, leading them into a final rebellion against God. This rebellion is quickly crushed, and Satan is cast permanently into the lake of fire, joining the Antichrist and the false prophet in eternal punishment. Next is the Great White Throne Judgment, the ultimate moment of accountability. Revelation describes a scene where all the dead are resurrected and stand before God's throne. The books are opened, including the Book of Life. Those whose names are written in the Book of Life are granted eternal life, while those not found in the book are cast into the lake of fire. This judgment marks the final separation between the righteous and the wicked. After the judgment comes the final act of renewal. God creates a new heaven and a new earth, as described in Revelation 21. The old heaven and earth pass away, and in their place is a perfect, sinless existence. The New Jerusalem, a magnificent city, descends from heaven. This is described as a place of unimaginable beauty, with streets of gold, gates made of pearls, and the very presence of God dwelling among His people. In this new creation there is no more death, sorrow, or pain, for God Himself wipes away every tear. Hinduism. In Hinduism, the end of the world is not a single, apocalyptic catastrophe, but a sacred turning of the cosmic wheel. Unlike Western visions of a final doomsday, Hindu philosophy views time as cyclical, not linear. Everything that exists, planets, civilizations, even gods, moves through endless cycles of creation, preservation, and destruction. These vast periods are called yugas, or cosmic ages, each with its own energy, purpose, and lesson for humanity. Like seasons in the life of the universe, they unfold, decay, and begin again. Forever. We are currently living in the Kali Yuga, the fourth and final age of the current cycle. Known as the Age of Darkness, Kali Yuga is marked by spiritual decline, moral confusion, and a world increasingly driven by greed, corruption, and ego. Dharma, cosmic righteousness, and natural order is weak in this age. Truth is hidden. Division thrives. Sound familiar? Hindu texts predicted it long ago, but Kali Yuga isn't just doom and gloom. It's also a test and necessary descent before rebirth. According to Hindu scriptures, when Kali Yuga reaches its deepest point, and the world is nearly consumed by its own ignorance, a divine force will intervene. Vishnu, the great preserver of the universe, will descend to earth one final time in his 10th and last avatar, Kalki. Kalki is no peaceful sage. He's a blazing warrior, a cosmic force of justice. Described in texts like the Vishnu Purana, Kalki will ride a white horse, sword drawn, fire in his eyes. He will purge the earth of evil, uproot deception, and destroy all that threatens Dharma. The world will not end quietly, it will shake. Oceans will surge, mountains will fall, fire will sweep across the land. Societies will collapse, but here's the key. This destruction is not seen as punishment, it's purification. It's the divine fire that clears the field for new growth. In Hinduism, destruction is never the end. It's always a prelude to renewal. After this cleansing, the cosmic wheel turns again. The god Brahma, the great creator, awakens from his deep meditation and begins the process of recreation. A new world is born, and with it, a new yuga, the Satya Yuga, or Golden Age. In this new age, Dharma returns in full strength. Humanity lives in peace, in balance with nature and spirit. Truth is honored. Compassion rules. Enlightenment isn't rare, it's natural. This is not a fantasy, it's the inevitable rebirth of the universe, written into the very fabric of time. To the Hindu mind, the apocalypse is not an end to fear, it is a cosmic renewal to revere. Destruction is the doorway, and on the other side, a world reborn in light. Islam, the Islamic view of the end of the world, known as Qiyamah, is a detailed account of how Allah will bring an end to the world as we know it. The events of Qiyamah begin with a series of signs of the hour, divided into minor signs and major signs, as mentioned in the Quran and Hadith. The minor signs include moral decay, widespread dishonesty, disobedience to parents, and an increase in injustice. Over time, these signs become more apparent, signaling the approach of the major events. The major signs mark the onset of the final phase. One of the first is the emergence of the Mahdi, a righteous leader from the family of the Prophet Muhammad, who will guide the Muslims and restore justice on earth. His arrival will be closely followed by the return of Isa, or Jesus, central figure in Islamic eschatology. Jesus will descend from the heavens near a white minaret in Damascus, as foretold in Hadith. He will unite believers, defeat the Dial, or the Antichrist, and establish peace. The Dial is a deceptive figure who claims divinity, spreading corruption, and leading many astray. His defeat at the hands of Isa marks a turning point in the events of the end times. Following this, the appearance of Gog and Magog will occur. These two destructive forces, mentioned in the Quran, will unleash chaos and destruction across the earth. Their rampage will continue until Allah intervenes, destroying them with a plague that eliminates their threat. As these major signs unfold, the world begins to enter its final stage. A series of catastrophic natural events will occur, including the rising of the sun from the west, an event that signals the closing of the door of repentance. Other signs include a thick smoke that engulfs the earth, and a beast emerging to mark the disbelievers and believers. The ultimate event signaling the end is the blowing of the trumpet by the angel Israfil. The first blow will bring about the destruction of the world. Mountains crumble, oceans boil over, and the heavens are torn apart. All life ceases to exist. After a period known only to Allah, Israfil will blow the trumpet a second time, marking the resurrection. Humanity will be raised from their graves and gathered on a vast plain for judgment. On this day, Allah's ultimate justice will be manifest. This brings us to the Day of Judgment, a day described as being 50,000 years long. On this day, every soul will stand before Allah to account for their deeds. The Quran describes this vividly in Surah Al-Zalzala. Whoever does an atom's weight of good will see it, and whoever does an atom's weight of evil will see it. Each person's actions will be weighed on the scales of justice, and their deeds will be recorded in their book of records. The righteous will receive their book in their right hand as a sign of success, while the wicked will receive it in their left hand or behind their back, signifying their doom. The faithful will cross the Sirat, a bridge thinner than a hair and sharper than a sword, stretched over the depths of hell. Those who lived righteous lives will cross safely, while others will fall into the abyss below. Finally, the ultimate destiny of every soul is decided. The righteous are welcomed into Jannah, a place of eternal bliss described as gardens beneath which rivers flow, where there is no suffering, and believers live in the presence of Allah forever. On the other hand, the wicked are cast into Jahannam, a place of torment and punishment reserved for those who rejected faith and committed grave sins. After judgment, the universe itself is renewed. The heavens and earth are transformed, and a new creation emerges. Zoroastrianism. The end of the world is not seen as a tragic destruction, but as a process of ultimate renewal, purification, and the triumph of good over evil. This event is called Frasokareti, a term that means making wonderful. It represents the culmination of Ahura Mazda's divine plan and the final restoration of the world. The story begins with the ongoing struggle between Ahura Mazda, the supreme god of light and wisdom, and Angra Mainyu, the destructive spirit of chaos and evil. This cosmic battle is central to Zoroastrian belief. From the very beginning, it was destined that good would ultimately prevail, but only after a long and challenging struggle involving humanity and divine forces. Central to the Zoroastrian end times is the arrival of a savior figure called the Saoshyant, whose name means the one who brings benefit. The Saoshyant is said to be the final descendant of Zoroaster, born of a virgin who is miraculously conceived by the preserved seed of the prophet. His mission is to lead the forces of good in the final battle against evil, ushering in the era of Frasokareti. In the final days, Angra Mainyu and his demonic forces will wage their ultimate war against Ahura Mazda's creation. This battle will be cataclysmic, involving widespread chaos, suffering, and destruction. However, Ahura Mazda and the Saoshyant, along with divine beings known as the Amashaspentas, will triumph. Angra Mainyu and his forces will be utterly defeated and destroyed, ensuring that evil can never rise again. Following this victory, The world will undergo a process of purification. A river of molten metal will flow across the earth, consuming all evil and purifying creation. The righteous will pass through this river unharmed, as if it were warm milk, while the wicked will experience suffering as their sins are burned away. This purification signifies the cleansing of all corruption and the restoration of the world to its original perfect state. Next comes the resurrection of the dead, an essential element of Zoroastrian eschatology. All souls, both good and evil, will be brought back to life. They will be reunited with their bodies and judged based on their deeds. Ahura Mazda, as the ultimate judge, will weigh each person's actions. Those who lived righteous lives will join the renewed creation, where all beings live in harmony and perfection. Evil will have been eradicated, and suffering, pain, and death will no longer exist. This final state of existence is often referred to as the best existence, a paradise of eternal joy in unity with Ahura Mazda. Ashoka Reddy also marks the end of time as we understand it. The entire cosmos will be perfected, and Ahura Mazda's divine order will reign supreme. The material and spiritual worlds, once separated, will be united in a harmonious and eternal existence. In Norse mythology, the end of the world is called Ragnarok. It is a cataclysmic series of events that marks the destruction of the cosmos and the death of many gods. But it also brings about renewal and the rebirth of the world. Ragnarok begins with a series of warnings, the most significant being Fimbul Winter, a great winter that lasts for 3 years without summer. The earth will be gripped by ice and snow, and humanity will descend into chaos. Family bonds will break, wars will erupt, and morality will collapse. As Fimbul Winter ends, the world is thrown into even greater turmoil. The wolves Skoll and Hati, who have long pursued the sun and moon, finally succeed in devouring them, plunging the world into darkness. Stars will vanish, and the earth will quake violently, breaking bonds that have held even the most fearsome creatures in place. The chaos releases Loki and his monstrous children. The great Volf Fenrir breaks free from his chains and roams the earth, spreading destruction. Jormungandr, the world serpent, rises from the ocean, poisoning the land and sky with his venom. The ship Naglfar, made from the fingernails of the dead, sets sail, carrying an army of giants led by Hymir. The gods prepare for the final confrontation. Odin, the Allfather, gathers his warriors, the Einherjar, from Valhalla to fight alongside him. The great plain of Vigrid becomes the battlefield where gods, giants, and monstrous beings clash in an apocalyptic struggle. The battle is devastating. Odin faces Fenrir, but despite his strength and wisdom, the Allfather is devoured by the wolf. Odin's son avenges him, killing Fenrir by ripping its jaws apart. Thor, the god of thunder, fights Jormungandr and slays the serpent, but he takes only 9 steps before succumbing to the serpent's venom. Frey, the god of fertility, battles the fire giant Surtur, but falls because he gave away his magical sword long ago. Loki and the god Heimdall, sworn enemies, face each other in combat and kill one another. Finally, the fire giant Surtur unleashes his fury, engulfing the world in flames. The earth sinks into the sea, and everything is destroyed in a fiery apocalypse. After the chaos, the world rises again, cleansed and fertile. A new earth emerges from the water, green and beautiful, where life begins anew. The surviving gods, including Vidar, Vali, and Thor's sons Magni and Modi, rebuild the world. Humanity also has a future. 2 humans survive by hiding in Hadnamir's forest, and they emerge to repopulate the earth. The cycle begins anew with the promise of a fresh start and hope for a better future. Modern spirituality. In modern spirituality, the end of the world isn't a fiery collapse or a divine punishment, it's a profound awakening. Rather than seeing the apocalypse as the destruction of the planet, many spiritual seekers interpret It is the end of an old consciousness, a death of outdated systems, beliefs, and ways of living that no longer serve humanity's growth. This transformation is often linked to the dawn of the age of Aquarius, a concept drawn from astrology and symbolic of a shift into higher awareness. In this new era, humanity is said to move away from fear, control, and division, and toward a reality centered on love, unity, and collective evolution. It's not just a cosmic moment, it's an invitation for each individual to rise, to heal, and to consciously participate in shaping a more compassionate world. This shift isn't always smooth. From the perspective of modern spirituality, the chaos we see, climate crises, political tension, rapid technological change, even inner anxiety, isn't meaningless. It's part of a necessary upheaval, a spiritual detox. Old structures must fall for something higher to emerge. Pain becomes a portal. Crisis becomes initiation. At the heart of this vision is empowerment. The future isn't fated, it's co-created. Humanity, as a collective soul, has the power to choose, and it starts within. Through practices like meditation, breathwork, energy healing, and deep self-inquiry, individuals align themselves with higher vibrations. This inner work ripples outward, impacting the energy of families, communities, and even the planet itself. Instead of fearing the end, modern spirituality calls us to embrace the transformation. What's ending is the age of disconnection from nature, from each other, from ourselves. And what's beginning is a return to truth, to wholeness, to oneness. The end of the world is not about death. It's about awakening. Buddhism and Buddhism. The end of the world isn't a cataclysmic finale. It's part of the natural ebb and flow of existence. Time, in Buddhist cosmology, is cyclical, not linear. Just as humans are born, die, and are reborn through the wheel of samsara, so too does the universe itself move through vast cycles of creation, preservation, decay, and destruction. This rhythm mirrors one of Buddhism's central truths, impermanence. Nothing lasts forever, not even entire worlds. Rather than fixating on a singular apocalyptic moment, Buddhism focuses on the gradual unraveling of both spiritual and physical realities. Over time, as the Dharma, the teachings of the Buddha, fades from memory, society enters a dark age. This isn't marked by fire and brimstone, but by a subtle, painful erosion of wisdom, compassion, and ethical behavior. Greed replaces generosity. Hatred drowns out empathy. Delusion blinds the mind. The once clear path to enlightenment becomes overgrown and forgotten. According to Buddhist scriptures, this decline is inevitable. All conditioned things decay. Even the purest teachings, like Dharma itself, are subject to impermanence. But this isn't a cause for despair. Buddhism teaches that the fall is only one part of a much larger cycle. After darkness comes light. When the world reaches its spiritual nadir, a new beacon of wisdom will emerge. Maitreya, the future Buddha, currently residing in the celestial realm of Tushita heaven. Maitreya waits patiently, observing the world with infinite compassion. When the time is right, when humanity is ready to listen again, he will descend to earth, attain enlightenment, and teach the Dharma anew. His arrival will mark the beginning of a new spiritual era, where mindfulness, wisdom, and loving kindness flourish once more. But the end is not only spiritual, it's also physical. Buddhist cosmology describes vast stretches of time called kalpas, within which entire universes arise and dissolve. Some end in flames, others in floods or windstorms. These destructions are not chaotic or random. They are the cosmic exhale to a long sacred breath. Once the universe has dissolved, it rests dormant and silent before eventually re-emerging into a new cycle of life. This perspective is not meant to frighten but to awaken. Everything is impermanent. Everything is interconnected. And yet, in every ending lies a seed of new beginning. For Buddhists, the end of the world is not a final judgment or a divine punishment. It's a profound reminder of the truth of change, and a call to live wisely while we can. The world may crumble, teachings may fade, even universes may burn, but the Dharma always returns. Light follows shadow. Wisdom rises again, and so, with every breath, Buddhism invites us to prepare not through fear, but through mindfulness. Because the real apocalypse isn't fire or flood, it's forgetting who we truly are. And the real salvation is remembering. Judaism and Judaism. The end of the world isn't seen as doom or destruction, it's seen as redemption. It's not about annihilation, but transformation. Jewish eschatology offers a powerful vision of the future rooted in hope, justice, and divine purpose. At the heart of this vision is the long-awaited arrival of the Messiah and the coming of Olam Haba, the world to come. This future begins with a period known as the Shevlai Mashiach, or the birth pangs of the Messiah. Like the pain that precedes new life, this stage is marked by turmoil, moral collapse, societal unrest, and global conflict. The world, in a sense, unravels, but not without meaning. According to tradition, these pains signal the approaching arrival of the Messiah, a direct descendant of King David, who will rise not merely as a political savior, but as a spiritual leader, bringing clarity and unity to a fractured world. Upon his arrival, the Messianic age begins. The Messiah will rebuild the Beit HaMikdash, the Holy Temple in Jerusalem, restoring the sacred center of Jewish worship. He will gather the Jewish people from all corners of the earth, uniting them in their ancestral homeland. More than that, he will usher in an age of universal peace, fulfilling prophetic visions like Isaiah's, "Nation shall not lift sword against nation, neither shall they learn war." But redemption doesn't end there. In this age of divine alignment, the Techiat Hamatim, the resurrection of the dead, will take place. The righteous of all generations will rise, brought back to life to witness and participate in the Messianic world. What follows is the day of judgment, where every soul is evaluated not by creed alone, but by deeds. Acts of justice, kindness, and faithfulness will be rewarded. And for the righteous, a new chapter begins in Olam Haba, a world healed, purified, and eternally illuminated by God's presence. In Olam Haba, suffering disappears. Evil has no place. Humanity lives in complete harmony with one another and with the divine. It is a time of pure spiritual awareness, when the veils between heaven and earth are lifted, and God's presence is as close as breath. What makes the Jewish view of the end so unique is its emphasis on human responsibility. Redemption is not something to wait for, it's something to work toward. Through Tikkun Olam, the daily acts of repairing the world through justice, charity, and observance, human beings are seen as co-creators of this future. Every good deed brings the world one step closer to its destiny. Judaism teaches that the end of the world is not the end of hope. It is the fulfillment of it. What did you think about today's video? Feel free to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Thank you for watching. If this video opened your mind or helped you see reality in a new light, don't forget to like and subscribe to Top Hidden Knowledge so you never miss our next deep dive into mystery, perception, and the hidden workings of our universe. And if you have time, explore more videos on our channel. We're just getting started. Until next time, stay curious, stay aware, and never stop questioning the world around you.